El manto de San Esteban tampoco. El báculo de San Pedro tampoco. Pero en cambio estaban los capines de San Ignacio, que es una canción criolla muy hermosa, que vamos a escuchar en la voz de don Ignacio. Doctor, me duele acá. Nuestra audición A la limagna.
No, mire, hay un tema con la temperatura corporal.
Es muy especial.
Si la señora es gélida.
Sí. No, Élida me da.
Sí. Pero digo, si además...
Élida y yo Vicente.
Si usted, Vicente, es de alta temperatura,
Sí.
y Élida es gélida, yo tengo el problema que yo tengo de... Los insectos, los bichos, son atraídos por usted, señor. Todos los bichos van a ir a usted.
Porque el bicho busca los...
No me falta respeto.
Momento. ¿El bicho busca lo caliente?
Exactamente, señor. Busca... donde ve algo que está más o menos calentito para arriba, el bicho va...
El calentito para arriba me gustó, es una linda respuesta.
No, aparte...
Pero te llama, por ejemplo, y dice, ¿cómo, qué tal? ¿Cómo anda, fulano? Ya lo ve, de calentito para arriba.
Para que tengamos a ver esta eminencia por aspecto que tiene muy elevado. Porque lo que bajar al pueblo,
Quizás otro día. Dale.
entonces, usted vio que mire sobre todo las ronchas, mire lo que es la cara. Mire lo que es la cara.
en la tierra y ellos en el cielo. Qué loco. Alguien tenía que decirlo. Si escuchás voces en la noche, cuídate la espalda. No te conozco lo suficiente. Well, I hope you like it, because we are going to talk about this universe. Now, sorry for the inconvenience for putting the trailer in its original language. I know that many of you don't like to read subtitles, but the language is what is going to give it an essence and character. And honestly, the so international trailer that was released at the beginning of 2023 does not do the film justice. It makes it look more generic. But if you are interested in looking for the film to see it, it is pending to be released by Shout Factory in the USA and Canada. In Spain, it's already on Amazon Prime, and you can surely find it elsewhere. Now, why do I want to make a game of this universe? Well, that's a pretty long answer. But for some time now, I have been feeling some of the narrative limitations of the film format that have been poking me in the back of my neck. As time passed by, I realized that I have a style of narrating that is more about putting the viewer in the scene, making them feel part of it and experience the journey. And this is where everything that happened to me when I played Half-Life comes back. That feeling of being there and the immersion. That is something that cinema cannot give you. Cinema puts you in the place of a spectator, not a protagonist. That barrier has been over my head for a long time. All of this added to the fact that I imagine the universe of Into the Abyss as if it were a game. That idea grew up in my head and generated excitement and anxiety at the same time, but in a good way. I became very fond of this universe that we were able to create. I like the atmosphere and also the opportunity to tell many stories with it. So, in early 2023, I made the decision. I was going to make a game expanding the film's universe, and that was how The Path into the Abyss was born. Now, what kind of game is this? Well, The Path, or how we are going to call it from now on, is a dark, atmospheric, hardcore survival shooter, with some role-playing touches and an open narrative focused more on the world and the characters you can encounter. Take it as a mix between Stalker-style survival shooter and tactical combat. A bit of Half-Life for the type of continuous narrative that never takes control away from the player, with a focus on environment and exploration. And a little of Fallout for the role-playing game style with multiple characters and stories. All united under a climatic atmosphere that takes center stage and even modifies the rules of the game as you progress. Aesthetic of folklore, gauchesco, almost western, and science fiction. The game will have dynamic NPCs, I mean characters that you can meet in the Abyss and be friends or enemies. They can become traveling companions or simply go on their own adventure. My rule is that each character you met can have a story to tell, to open opportunities for the player to create their own adventure in this journey. This is where most of the weight of the game rests on, since this is one of the most important mechanics to develop. This will give you a feeling that each game is different, introduce a bit of random chaos, but at the same time with order and harmony. Like in the movie, there is a radio system so you can listen to other characters and find about the latest news that are going on in the world. The other NPCs use this same system, so many of the conversations you can hear are from characters who are in your surroundings. Following the film style, the game will be focused on Buenos Aires and its surroundings. The world map is divided in 4 zones, with the city of Buenos Aires in the center as the main one. We will call it, from now on, the Abyss. The concept of the Abyss is defined by being ground zero, where the first arrival of these celestial things happens. The background of what really happened is get blurred, as if everyone had eventually forgotten how it all started and who started, making that many characters have a different opinion and belief about the Abyss. It is a dark place with constant storms, where the climate changes abruptly forever, affecting its surroundings and the way of life. Certain new life forms grow, creating a new hybrid ecosystem between what our Earth provides and what fell from the sky. In the Abyss, many blame extraterrestrial beings. Others say it was fault of climate change. And others say that evil and war brought a biblical message to us. It is a place where the coldest and darkest soul meet and death happens. A very hostile and dangerous place. What we know is the Abyss came to change the world, and it is slowly expanding. Perhaps it is no longer the only one in the world. You can meet in the center of the abyss with factions and other nations that, from what we could understand, is that they come to look for new natural resources in the abyss. And this leads to a war of territories, where the original inhabitants fight against invaders, giving a pseudo-political background. Here the player will have the option to be part of the fight or make their own way, even the option to change sides. One thing is certain. The Abyss, being a desolated city, is open to looting, constant conflict, and rumored to have fortunes of other worse stuff. It seems like the tropical paradise that Buenos Aires was, but now for explorers who wants to find meaning and adventure in this dark place. The Abyss is surrounded by 3 areas: South, North, and West Zone. This is where you begin to see the most rural and folklore neighborhoods and places in Buenos Aires. The intention is to try to recreate the atmosphere and style of these areas, but not making a perfect copy. That will be impossible because the map will be huge. South Zone will start with the woods of Ezeiza and a more stable template climate, going up the highway until you reach the outskirts of the city. The North Zone will start with Zárate, going down Route 9, with a more arid and drier climate. And the West Zone will show a little of Morón and General Paz with a frozen and snow-covered climate. The game aims for a hardcore difficulty. It is not going to be player-friendly. It might be frustrating for some, but I always appreciated games that require the player to develop experience rather than holding their hand. It will be necessary to navigate carefully. The design of the city is thought to be like a labyrinth, and the game will not provide a map. Everything will rely on pure navigation instinct. The risk of entering is big. Now, maybe all of this doesn't sound the most original video game in the history. So what can I do in this regard? Well, first and foremost, there is no other game like this focused on Buenos Aires. Certain colorful themes from our culture can be translated into this world in a very attractive way, and I think that for an audience outside our country, it can be very interesting. We tend to be captivated by the culture of other countries. Furthermore, as an Argentino, I have to admit that it will give me a lot of pride to see a video game centered in Buenos Aires, and I think many other compatriots too. So yes, I have no experience in video games, and this project seems very ambitious to also be my first attempt. But I always manage to learn quickly, and while making a video game is very difficult, making movies too. This wouldn't be the first time I undertake a project that takes a long time to finish. Okay, I hope you like what you saw. Now, I wanna make it clear that I know what you see is not perfect. There are many things to polish, and considering that this is my first time doing something like this, I'm very proud of it, and I think it turned out quite well. The teaser is made entirely with gameplay from the current prototype of the game. What I mean is that it's not scripted. Even the campfire scene is set up on the same map where other things in the teaser were captured. Some animations were made especially for this, but I just played as it is. I have tried to capture an essence of free play mixed with something theatrical that gives the feeling that the player is in control and has a good amount of freedom with the environment. It is for this reason that the quality of the teaser is not cinematic 100% perfect, as a well-presented a pre-rendered trailer will be. Everything is screen captured directly from the Unreal editor. But you might be wondering, what is the path into the abyss? Well, to answer this question in a more organized way, I'm going to have to go back in time and tell you a little bit about my background. As I mentioned it before, I'm a filmmaker in Argentina. I dedicated myself to this career for 15 years, and I have been lucky enough to be able to make 4 feature films so far, one of them currently in post-production. I always liked video games. Since I was a child, I had a computer, and I think that was my school in a big part. I remember playing Half-Life in '98, when I was 15 years. And the immersive experience and that subtly but intriguing narrative was one of the things I marveled at the most. A world completely exposed by the environment. I dream of making a video game. And even as a child, I had a few attempts. But I realized that it's not easy at all. It required a lot of work, and I think that scared me and buried my dream for a long time. I grew up and ended up dedicating myself to cinema. As a teenager, I filmed a lot with my friends and experimented different styles with the camera, so it was a natural step for me. Over time, I grew more and more in the industry, and was able to make films. Independently, of course, but I feel very lucky to achieve this, since making films in Argentina is quite difficult. At the same time, that distant dream of making a video game was still present under my skin. Eventually, in 2020, just as the pandemic was ending, I made my last film, Into the Abyss. A film focused on a character who is trapped in a city in the middle of the apocalypse. The film was basically an adaptation of how an era ends and a new one begins. Something that resonated very personally with me. And in the end, that fear of change ended up becoming an apocalypse film. The movie has inspirations from The Road, Alien, Stalker by Tarkovsky, and inevitably those of The Eternaut, the science fiction comic by Herman Osterheld. I would like to tell you more about the film, but we'll deviate from the main topic here, so I will leave you with the trailer so you can have more context. But you can skip to the next chapter if you like it.
¿Dónde estás? Me están llevando, no nos dejan quedarnos. Bloquearon todos los accesos, nadie me dice qué es lo que está pasando. Contéstame, por favor.
¿Viste cómo está el cielo? Vos tenías razón, hijo. Se cae el cielo y con él todos nuestros dioses. Vivieron una vida de lujo y ahora se arrastran en la tierra.
Perdón, viejo, soy Demian. Perdona que no me presenté.
Yo quiero salir de acá.
Y con los milicos te la veo difícil,
¡Vení, no, ayúdame!
Pero, ¿para qué mierda querés salir si no hay un carajo afuera?
No me importa.
Vivimos en el Edén. Ellos lo trajeron. Cuando encuentres al purificador, le vas a poder pedir tus deseos.
En la entretejida línea del tiempo, acá en esta tierra ya habitada, llegaron ellos. Los primeros se decían ser. Acá en la llanura donde cubrimos hoy con nuestro cuerpo el manto gris de esta ciudad desolada. Ellos, los anhelantes viajeros del mar, nacidos del continente de los reyes, sin saber qué les deparaba, de trabajo, sudor y lágrimas. Armaron sus casas de barro y plantaron vida, compartiendo con otros cuya naturaleza desconocían.
Hermano, es un quilombo dentro del abismo. ¿Para qué querés entrar?
Y con más fuerza que nunca lucharon para mantener sus raíces, sus creencias.
Yo estuve ahí. Existe algo siento conmigo todo el tiempo.
Vení, arrimate. Vení. Te voy a contar una leyenda. En la entretejida línea del tiempo, acá en esta tierra ya habitada, llegaron ellos. Los primeros se decían ser. Acá en la llanura donde cubrimos hoy con nuestro cuerpo el manto gris de esta ciudad desolada. Ellos, los anhelantes viajeros del mar, nacidos del continente de los reyes, sin saber qué les deparaba de trabajo, sudor y lágrimas. Armaron sus casas de barro y plantaron vida, compartiendo con otros cuya naturaleza desconocían.
Hermano, es un quilombo dentro del abismo. ¿Para qué quieres entrar?
Y con más fuerza que nunca lucharon para mantener sus raíces, sus creencias. Miraron el cielo en las celebraciones de la Epifanía y vieron viajar una luz de fuego que iluminó los campos llanos, y allí se fueron, buscando eso que descendía de la casa del Creador Todopoderoso, una señal.
Yo estuve ahí. Existe algo distinto que vive en lo profundo. Es como una sombra. Ahora lo siento conmigo todo el tiempo.
Y ese mensaje llegó.
¡Vení! ¡Vamos!
Tomando la forma de un niño sobre unas rocas, las más extrañas que jamás habían conocido, de un negro profundo e infinito. Tomaron al niño y lo criaron a fuerza de puño. Mas con él creció la desgracia y la enfermedad. Una lluvia interminable inundó las siembras y con la niebla llegaron las bestias con hambre. La niebla voraz dejó el campo minado de sangre, marcando el camino del muchacho a su lugar de origen.
¡Vamos, muchachos, carajo! ¡Esta es nuestra tierra! ¡Nuestra patria! ¡Guerra a los invasores! ¡Vamos, Argentina, mierda!
Aquel que de la roca vino es quien deambula a oscuras hasta el fin de los tiempos.
The Path into the Abyss is an upcoming first-person open-world survival shooter developed and published by MXR Productions. Set in a haunting version of Buenos Aires, the game incorporates elements of cosmic horror and survival with dynamic combat mechanics. It is part of the Abyss Universe franchise and is designed to challenge players through its intricate systems of exploration, looting, and AI-driven enemy interactions. Drawing inspiration from Lovecraftian themes, the game immerses players in a world of psychological and survival horror, with a richly detailed environment steeped in post-apocalyptic and sci-fi elements. Enemies exhibit advanced behaviors, adapting to player strategies, making encounters both unpredictable and intense. Resource management, looting, and crafting are central to the gameplay, emphasizing the struggle for survival in a hostile world. Players can expect a blend of ranged and melee combat with an emphasis on realism, including tactical decision-making and inventory management. Using cinematic techniques, the game promises a gripping and immersive visual experience, further enhanced by its first-person perspective. The game will feature English and Latin American Spanish voiceovers and subtitles, making it accessible to a broader audience. As a hardcore survival shooter, The Path into the Abyss aims to push boundaries with its narrative depth, psychological tension, and player-driven exploration. Its emphasis on a realistic and atmospheric experience aligns it with fans of survival horror and action RPGs. The game will be released in 2025 or later on PC. Now you can enjoy the screenshots without any interruption. Enjoy.